All right, so welcome to another deep dive. Today we're going to be jumping into the world of near-death experiences, or NDEs for short.
RDEs? Yeah.
And here's where it gets even more interesting. We're not just looking at, like, what people experience.
Right.
We're looking at how these experiences are being understood through the lens of Islamic beliefs.
Okay.
So our main source material today is this YouTube video, and it's called, the title is a mouthful, it's Near Death Experience and Astral Projection, Satan's Latest Methods to Corrupt People's Beliefs.
Ooh, that's a catchy title.
It is, right?
Yeah.
And it's from the channel Dr. Haytham Talat.
Okay.
And let me tell you, it makes some pretty bold claims.
I bet.
So let's dive in and see what we can uncover, huh?
Sounds fascinating. Let's do it.
So right off the bat, the video kind of jumps into some pretty fundamental Islamic concepts about death.
Okay.
And it starts this idea of what it calls minor death.
Minor death.
Yeah, minor death and major death.
Okay, so I'm guessing minor death is like sleep, right?
You got it.
Okay.
It's like this temporary state where the soul is kind of partially separated from the body.
Okay, so like a temporary separation.
Exactly. Yeah.
And major death then is like the permanent one, the one we all think of.
Exactly. That's the permanent separation.
Got it.
And the video is very clear that from an Islamic perspective, there's no coming back from major death.
Right.
Except there are very specific instances that are mentioned in the Quran.
Okay.
Like there's the story of the man with the cow.
Okay.
Or those struck by lightning.
I see.
And those are seen as like miracles, right? Not something that happens regularly.
Right, like divine intervention kind of thing.
Exactly. Yeah, divine intervention. That's a good way to put it.
Okay.
But then the video kind of takes a turn, and it claims that the moment of death is when we're most vulnerable to Satan's influence.
That's kind of spooky.
Yeah, a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And it uses all these Quranic verses and hadiths to really hammer home this idea of like how relentlessly Satan tries to lead people astray.
Okay, so is that like, I'm not super familiar with Islamic texts, but are there specific examples that it brings up?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
So like one example is Quran 38.8283.
Okay.
And that describes how Satan like vowed to mislead humans.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's another one, 4.119.
Okay.
And this one describes how he'll tempt them to like alter God's creation.
Oh, wow. So it's like it's getting into specifics about how this deception works.
Exactly. It really is.
Okay.
And then there's that hadith too, right?
Which one?
The one about, Satan being present with us.
Oh, right.
Constantly.
It's a little unsettling, to be honest.
I know, right? It really kind of paints this picture of this constant like spiritual struggle.
Yeah.
Even in what seem like really mundane moments,
I can see why the video would focus on death as like a particularly vulnerable time then.
Right, because it's like we're on the threshold of the unknown.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so the video basically argues that during death, this struggle just intensifies.
I see.
And we might be more susceptible to deception just because of that.
Okay. That makes sense.
So this is where we get to the core of the video's argument.
Okay, hit me with it.
It claims that many NDEs are actually like elaborate manipulations.
Oh, wow.
Orchestrated by Satan himself.
Okay, but I'm guessing he's not showing up with the horns and a pitchfork, right?
No, exactly.
Okay.
He's disguised as something much more alluring.
So like angels.
Yeah, angels, luminous beings, maybe even deceased loved ones.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So like offering comfort, guidance, things like that.
Exactly, yeah, making it seem like a positive experience.
Wow. Okay.
And the video even points to a specific Quran verse, 34.4041.
Okay.
And it talks about how people can mistake jinn for angels.
So it's using that as support for this idea of like demonic entities disguised as benevolent beings.
Exactly, yeah.
Interesting.
And it doesn't stop there.
Oh, no.
It connects this to practices like energy healing, astral projection, self-healing.
Ooh, okay.
And it suggests that people who engage in these practices might be unknowingly interacting with or even like relying on these deceptive demonic forces.
Wow. That's a pretty strong claim.
It is, right?
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
It is.
So then the video brings up this story about Maria's shoe.
Maria's shoe.
What's that? Okay, so during her NDE, Maria sees a shoe on a rooftop.
Okay.
Like a very specific detail. And this detail is later confirmed to be accurate.
Really?
Yeah. So it's like, if these experiences are just tricks,
Right.
how do we explain these seemingly like verifiable details?
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Right. It's a head scratcher.
It is. And the video kind of acknowledges that people from all different backgrounds report similar elements in their NDEs, like the tunnel of light, the feelings of peace, the beings of light.
Right. We've heard that before.
Yeah. But it completely rejects the idea that these experiences can be explained solely through, like materialistic means.
So like brain chemistry or oxygen deprivation, things like that.
Exactly.
So it's setting up this kind of tension then between the scientifically unexplained phenomena and this claim of potential, spiritual manipulation.
Exactly. And it leaves us with a lot to ponder.
It does. It does. That's for sure.
It's a lot to process.
A lot to process.
And it doesn't even stop there, which is what we'll get into next time.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. Buckle up.
Okay. I'm ready for part 2. So where were we? Oh, yeah. This whole idea that, maybe NDEs are more than just tricks of the brain.
Right. Exactly. Like, even if we accept that, that there might be a spiritual dimension to these experiences, does that automatically make them supernatural?
That's a good question.
Or could there be a scientific explanation
Right.
that we just haven't, discovered yet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is.
It's like, it takes us right to the heart of the whole debate around NDEs,
Exactly.
Like, think about all those common elements that keep coming up. The tunnel of light, those feelings of peace, encounters with those beings of light.
Right.
Could those have, like, a scientific basis? You know what I mean?
Well, I've read about research suggesting that the tunnel of light, for example, might be caused by like a surge of activity in the brain's visual cortex when it's being deprived of oxygen.
Oh, interesting.
It's like the brain's last visual hurrah, before shutting down.
That's a pretty compelling theory. I mean, it shows how scientific inquiry can offer these insights into these phenomena. But it makes you wonder, right? Like, does a biological explanation fully account for like the depth and the complexity of what people actually report,
It's like you could say, okay, well, there's this biological trigger, but what about like the content, the meaning, the emotional impact?
Right, right.
Maybe those things tap into something beyond just the purely physical realm,
It's like trying to explain the beauty of a sunset.
Yeah.
Purely through, physics, like
Right.
through the physics of light and atmospheric conditions.
Right.
You can break it down scientifically, but that doesn't really diminish the awe and wonder that you feel
Certainly.
when you see it. You
Yeah,
know?
absolutely. It's like there could be both
Exactly.
a scientific explanation and then also this deeper, maybe even spiritual significance.
I like that.
And, even within the scientific community,
Yeah.
there's no one like universally accepted explanation for NDEs.
Right.
It's still very much a mystery.
It's true.
And it's something that is that people are continuing to research and debate.
Which makes this whole conversation like super intriguing.
Right.
I mean, it feels like we're on the frontier of understanding something really profound
Yeah.
about consciousness and the nature of reality itself.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if these experiences are like hinting at something beyond our current understanding of, the brain and the self?
Totally.
What if consciousness isn't limited to the physical body?
That's a fascinating thought.
Right.
It is.
And it kind of circles back to the video's focus on spiritual deception.
Okay.
The video primarily presents one interpretation,
Yeah.
which is a very cautionary one, right?
Mm.
But it's important to remember that there are other perspectives within Islam
Right.
as well as in other religious and spiritual traditions.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the video, it really highlights the potential for deception,
Yeah.
especially during these vulnerable times.
Mm.
But what about all those accounts of NDEs that are like profoundly positive and life changing,
Yeah.
even for people of different faiths
Yeah.
or no faith at all?
That's a great point.
It seems like we all have this lens through which we view these experiences,
Right.
and that lens is colored by
Yeah.
our own backgrounds, our beliefs,
Our experiences.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that makes it all the more important to engage with diverse perspectives and consider different interpretations.
I couldn't agree more.
I think this deep dive has shown how complex
Sure.
and multifaceted this whole topic really is.
It really is.
There's the scientific angle, the spiritual angle, the personal angle, and all these different lenses, cultural and religious, that people use to make sense of these experiences.
Totally.
So I think the key takeaway for you, our listener, is that NDEs are deeply personal experiences.
Yeah.
And they can be interpreted in many different ways. Yeah. And we've explored one particular interpretation today through the lens of Islamic beliefs.
Yeah.
Which, really emphasizes the potential for spiritual deception.
Right. Especially during those vulnerable times.
Exactly.
But,
yeah. But it's crucial to remember that this is just one perspective among many.
Yeah.
And while we can't definitively say whether NDEs are evidence of an afterlife, or, a glitch in the brain, or something else entirely.
Right.
I think they offer this really fascinating glimpse into the mysteries of consciousness and the human experience.
I agree.
This deep dive, focusing on this Islamic perspective, it's really opened up a whole new avenue of exploration for me.
For me too.
And it makes me wonder, how do other religions view NDEs?
That's a great question.
What can we learn from those different perspectives?
That's something I would love to explore further.
Right.
Yeah, maybe we could even delve into that in a future episode.
That would be awesome, man. We've covered a lot of ground, haven't we?
We have. It's like from this YouTube video claiming that, NDEs are like Satan's trick,
right,
to kind of corrupting people's beliefs.
And then we unpacked all that.
We did.
Right? We looked at the Islamic concepts of death, the spiritual realm. We considered the scientific explanations,
right.
And then we talked about how different worldviews can lead to such different interpretations of the same experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Still have to wrap your head around.
It is. But I think that's what makes these deep dives so engaging. We're tackling these big questions about life and death and what might lie beyond.
And even though we've talked about so much, I keep coming back to this one question.
What's that?
If NDEs can't be fully explained by current science, does that automatically make them supernatural?
Right.
Or could there be undiscovered scientific principles that could explain them?
It's a question that has puzzled, scientists and philosophers and theologians for centuries. I mean,
right.
And I don't think we have a definitive answer yet,
Yeah, I agree.
But I think that's kind of the beauty of it,
Right. It leaves us wanting more.
Exactly. There's so much to explore.
Yeah.
So much we don't know.
Yeah, and this whole discussion about NDEs, especially when you view it through this lens of Islamic beliefs,
right?
It really highlights the power of perspective, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Like what one person might interpret as evidence of some divine realm, another person might see that same thing and think it's just a neurological phenomenon.
Exactly. Yeah.
And both perspectives could be valid.
They could be, yeah.
Right.
It depends on your framework.
Yeah, on how you're viewing it.
Exactly.
And I think that's a valuable takeaway. For anyone listening, regardless of their beliefs,
Yeah, be open-minded.
Be open-minded.
Consider different viewpoints.
Yep.
Approach these mysteries with curiosity and humility.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up this deep dive into NDEs, I want to leave you, the listener, with a thought.
Okay.
If these experiences are a window into something beyond our everyday understanding of reality, what does that tell us about ourselves?
Ooh, that's a good one.
About the nature of consciousness.
Yeah.
About the possibility of something beyond this physical life.
Keep asking those questions.
Keep exploring, right?
Yeah, and even if the answers, remain elusive, the journey itself is incredibly enriching.
I love that. So we've explored one interpretation of NDEs today.
We have.
But there are countless others out there. So, don't be afraid to dive deeper yourself.
Exactly.
Seek out different perspectives. And form your own understanding of these fascinating and often perplexing experiences.
And who knows, maybe one day you'll be sharing your own deep dive.
Yeah.
Into the mysteries of NDEs.
That's what we love about the deep dive.
I know, right?
It's all about sparking curiosity, encouraging that critical thinking
Mm-hmm.
and exploring all these vast and often uncharted territories of knowledge.
Until next time,
Until next time,
keep seeking
keep questioning.
and keep diving deep.